Let's move on to ESL Pro League Season 12, which was announced a couple of days ago. And obviously, the way that it's all working now is that there isn't really an ESL Pro League in ANZ or in Asia, which is kind of feels bad, man, for us. But at least this season, as opposed to in Season 11, there is a qualification system for the teams to get to the ESL Pro League itself. Unfortunately, it's probably not what we would have liked to have seen from it. And we're going to sort of break it down and maybe say some things that we probably shouldn't. Either way, just to give you a bit of an overarching insight as to what it is. It's a double elim bracket, best of threes, with the finals being best of five, one for each region. So you get your Asia region, you get your ANZ region. That's fine, fair enough. I don't mind that. And you're kind of just looking back at like all these other qualifiers. All of them have just always been double elims, and we generally get pretty good games out of them. Where things start to become problematic in my mind is that obviously you're looking for an 8-team bracket in this kind of format, and for Asia, we've only got 7 teams. You've got Beyond, BTRG, Invictus, Lucid Dream, PaperX, Tyloo, and Vici, which I can't really argue necessarily with the invitations that have come out here. I think they're okay. I might put one team in and one team out here or there, but how in the world can you not have Tiger invited into a competition like this? Especially, by the way, when there are only 7 out of 8 teams in the bracket and Tyloo is getting an auto seed through from their first round. I can't really fathom where this has come from or how this decision has come about. I mean, I lie. I know exactly why. It's because of previous seasons of Pro League, which, by the way, for Pro League Season 10, the last one that had an Asian component was like a year ago now. So in a region where rosters change so frequently, it just seems ludicrous to me to use the invites based on what happened in the previous seasons of Pro League. When you look at someone like Tiger, who has won Road to Rio, which is an ESL competition, and they're not getting an invite, and they're probably the best team in the Asian region right now. What's your 2 cents on this, Blair?
I think you hit the nail right on the head there. For someone who works with ESL, that's a brave thing to say. So for someone who does a lot of ESL gigs as well, that's going to be hard for me to say, but it is a fact. It is a fact. Tiger should be in that. I don't give a fuck who you remove from that. You can fucking remove VG if you want to. I don't give a fuck. You add in Tiger there, and I feel like sometimes you can't apply the same rules that, like you said, right? You if you don't participate in a previous league, you necessarily get an invite or whatnot. You can't do that in Asia. You can't do that in Asia because of the roster changes that keep happening all the time. You want the best. It's called the ESL Pro League. It's supposed to represent the best in the region. You probably don't have the best team in the region. That makes it very suspect for me, and especially when you have teams like BTRG, like Beyond, Lucid Dream, PaperX, nothing against them, but Tiger would probably take a shit on them like 24-7. Like, you could play all the 7 maps and throw in an extra couple of community maps. You fucking throw in FYI as well if you wanted. They would still shit on them, eyes closed. So something's wrong there. Now, we don't know why it happened, but maybe they said no to it, which to me doesn't make any sense, right? Tiger would not say no to this. There's no reason.
I know for a fact that they didn't say no.
Okay, there we go. So ESL, please don't fuck this up. Like, you have another slot there. Fuck it, please add them, because it just completely removes such a. It could be really cool. You have almost every team who are kind of relevant and who are relevant in the scene right now playing there. I mean, even fucking Mazala, even like D13 is a better addition than some of the other teams that's been invited. I would add Tiger and one of the other Mongolian teams and take out any 2 teams apart from Tyloo and Vici. And I still think it would be better than this, which is fucking shocking for me.
Yeah, I think the most egregious part of this is that, obviously the invites have come from previous seasons of Pro League. And there's teams like MVP PK. If you go back and look at Season 10, that team still existed. Their slot no longer exists. That's the team that didn't get re-invited because they don't exist anymore. Where is the methodology, or what's the mindset behind not inviting another team or not having, at the very least, another qualifier? That's the biggest thing for me, is you've only got 7 out of 8 teams in this qualifier. How can you not seed an 8th team in there? It's unfathomable to me. Anyway, Pilsky, when we were talking about this the other day at work, before we were casting, and one thing you said to me was that, what is the point of having a competition like this if you don't have the best teams in the region competing in it? And that's kind of stuck with me. So, I mean, obviously, I think you're going to echo the thoughts that myself and Blair have already spoken about, but do you want to add your 2 cents into this discussion?
Yeah, look, I'm gonna choose my words wisely because I exclusively do all of my work with ESL. But look, let's just use DreamHack Masters as a bit of a case study, right? What happened in that tournament was you had 2 Chinese teams and 2 Thai teams who qualified several months before, when the forms of the team was completely different, when The hierarchy of how the teams were performing in the region was completely different. Since then, you've seen the Mongolian teams come a lot better. And what happened? The Thai teams were not competitive with the Chinese teams whatsoever, and it made for a bad tournament. And that's going to be a similar situation that happens in this tournament. You're actively denying players who have earned their opportunities and earned their results in the region from competing in what's meant to be the best tournament in the region. You're looking at Tiger. They've won back-to-back. They won fucking Weibo and they won fucking Road to Rio. And then you had D13. They placed top 4 in Road to Rio and they placed top 4 in Weibo. And you're not inviting these teams. It's ridiculous. This should not be happening. You're actively denying players opportunities that they deserve.
Like, and it's not even a thing about not inviting them. Like, okay, fine. Maybe there is a precedent set by previous seasons of ESL Pro League where they have to re-invite teams that played in previous seasons. But to not even have a qualifier is the most ludicrous thing to me. So my 2 cents here is if anyone is watching this that can actually make that decision, please just do it. It's like the logical decision. Sometimes you have to think about the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. And if the qualification system is dictated as such, like, fair enough. But there's only 7 teams in the competition, and I don't see any reason why you wouldn't, at the very least, invite Tiger. Yes, D13's a discussion as well, and I agree with you, Pilski. But to not have probably one of the best teams, if not the best team in the Asian region in this qualifier when there is an open slot, just is unfathomable to me. So
I find it especially weird because I know for a fact that ESL, as you know, if you look at the admin team, right? I've spoken to a few of them. I have DM'd a few of them. I've spoken to them in person as well, and they've always been a team who have gone out of the way, just like try to approach me or whoever is in the scene in the Asian region to try and figure out what's the right way to do it. This has happened in some of the majors and minors in the past where they're like, hey, these are some of the invites we have. Do they look good? Do you have any other teams in mind? They've done that. They always do that. And for them not to do it this time around, it's that's the thing. We're not shitting on ESL. They've always done it right most of the times when it comes to the Asian region. But this time around, like you said, this is just too much to handle. The fact that potentially the best team in Asia is not playing the fucking Pro League.
Yeah. Normally I wouldn't talk about something like this, but I feel like I almost have an obligation to. And it's also, maybe I'm being a little bit selfish in a way as well, because I imagine there's a world where we end up casting this one, Pilski. Maybe not after this broadcast, after this podcast. But I think, like from my perspective, if I have to cast the Asia region and I'm casting Lucid Dream versus fucking Beyond again for like the 50th time in the last 6 months, instead of being able to potentially watch Tiger versus Tai Lu, a rematch from Road to Rio Grand Finals, I'm not going to be very happy about that.
Yeah,
anyway.
Every death segment is literally like, oh, big asterisk on this tournament because Tiger's not here, like every fucking time.
Yeah. Anyway, that's only the start of it, fellas, because that's what we're going to get out of Asia. And if we take a look at what's happening in ANZ, it's arguably even worse. I mean, at the very least, you've got Renegades or kind of getting that direct seed.
Blair can't even believe it.
You get that direct seed through to Pro League for Renegades. So fine, that's cool. You've got the best team there. You've got Avant, you've got Chiefs, you've got Order. They're all invited. Ground Zero and Paradox are there as well. But just think, how many teams is that out of an 8-team bracket, Blair? Can you count for me? Avant, Chiefs, Ground Zero, Order, Paradox. That's 5. Those are the only teams that are in the bracket. And there's no qualifier.
More teams?
Don't you need 8 teams to make an 8-team bracket, though, Jordan? I thought that you needed that.
That's what one would
Sorry,
think.
that might be an ignorant question.
So I just want to throw a couple of names in here. Have you ever heard of Truckers with Attitude, a team that just 2-0'd Renegades in ANZ Champs? Don't know if you've heard of them, but they're not in the Pro League.
Okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. I mean, that did happen very recently, though, right?
Sure, but why is there not a qualifier?
True. Why is it not a qualifier? That is very true. I completely agree with you.
Same with Roosters as well. I know you like Roosters. You're a big fan of them, Blair. You've heard of them
I
at
like
least.
Hawks, man.
Yeah, put it in and around your mouth. It's fine. Put them in ESL Pro League. Fuck yeah.
Tasty as fuck.
So, okay, again, it's the same kind of a problem. Why have you done this? It's the same problem though, and I think it's even worse when it's 5 teams. I think it's 2 different things. Like, okay, it's not as bad because like Tiger obviously is the best team in Asia, and let's be real, Truckers and Rooster probably aren't going to be the best teams in this competition. They're probably not going to qualify, but it's 5 teams instead of 7. So you're already missing 3 teams then, which means Chiefs, Order, and Avant all skip their round 1 match. They just get auto-seeded through. It's just, I don't understand why there's not a qualifier for this or a direct invite. Like, I get why there's not a direct invite. It's because it sets a bad precedent, and then teams are going to come and say, like, why am I not getting invited? Why is this team getting invited? Blah, blah, blah. And that then has implications on other regions as well. Like, for example, someone in Europe might be like, well, why the fuck do I not get invited? Why do I have to qualify instead of this? Or blah, 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 whatever. So I just think that there's a better way of doing this, and I think that not all of the options that should have been explored have been explored. How hard is it really to run an open qualifier over the course of a weekend? You know, I'm sure that someone can do that, and I'm sure someone can make that happen. And yeah, Pro League probably kicks off in a few weeks or something like that. I didn't check the exact date, but I think it's pretty soon. But like in reality, there's or like take I don't know, the results from ANZ champs and just find whichever team that didn't qualify through from whatever team placed highest in ANZ champs that didn't get an invite into Pro League. Give them a slot, something like that. Just do something. Do something.
And I feel like there's something very important missed out there, right? Like you said, they're probably not going to qualify. They're probably not going to win, teams like Roosters and whatnot. But we kind of forget for regions like Asia and Australia, where there are not that many events taking place, not that many opportunities. These are big chances for these teams to, to see how good they are against the best of the best out there, like Order and Avant. And we saw that upset the Truckers had against Renegades. Who's to know? They might be able to upset Avant again. They might be able to upset Order, right? We want to see that happen. And for them to have this level of experience more frequently, it's different from scrimming, playing for something on the line. It's much different from scrimming. It's good for the scene overall. And you're already doing such a good job at having a Pro League for Australia, for ANZ, for Asia. Extend a little bit, like you said, how hard is it to have like a small little qualifier? It's not many teams anyway, right? In the region, so to speak. You already have all the top teams out there. It's a little mind-boggling, and I feel like it's ESL dropping the ball a little bit here.
Yeah, I mean, what about like even to throw another name in the mix, like Sigma, for example, probably one of the better teams in Thailand now, particularly with the changes we've seen from Lucid Dream. They don't have an opportunity to qualify because they didn't play in the last couple of seasons, and it's just unbelievable.
Probably shit on every other
and
SCA
Sigma
team.
win open qualifiers like a motherfucker. Like you always see him in top 3 every fucking time. It's like even if they didn't qualify, you go look at the open qualifier and they're in the top fucking 3 teams almost every time.
And Lucid and Beyond aren't even playing. Like, who do they have to beat? Like, PaperX isn't even there. They have to just beat Bren and just shit on every other team in SCA. They're through.
Yeah, one thing that I do sort of wish we could have gotten out of the last version of this podcast that we did, the one that's not going to be released, is that APOC Dud asked me, like, what has PaperX ever done? Like, what have they even achieved? And what I said was, like, I tell you what they achieved to get into this tournament is that they played in Season 10 of Pro League as Boot Dreamscape. That's the achievement that's gotten them through to this. And you think about how long ago that was and how irrelevant that is compared to the results that they've been having lately, just raises a few questions. Anyway, that's me done for that. If you guys want to have another 2 cents, then go ahead. But I'm done with my
I'll chuck in my last 2 cents, and that is just look, two points that I want to bring up. I would like to pretend that it's just Pro League where they've dropped the ball, but here's the thing that everyone's forgetting as well. Road to Rio tournament for Oceania, Avant weren't put into that. Ground Zero got put in ahead of them, for reasons. But at the same time, that was a big opportunity that Avant missed, and they've gone on a very short period of time later to prove that they're one of the, if not the best team in the region, like second best team in the region. And they weren't able to get that opportunity. So that's another sort of misseeded competition or misinvited competition, which might have been for a better reason that time around. But you got to learn from your mistakes at some point.
I can kind of see the reason there.
Yeah, for sure. But still, like at the same time, it would at least get you thinking about some of these things. And then in the very next competition, a more egregious example of that kind of a thing happens. And the only other thing is just from my personal experience as a player, I've literally been in a position where I, quote unquote, was in a team that deserved an invite to a professional competition, and we did not get an invite to a professional competition. And it very much contributed towards me no longer playing the game and no longer, being involved in Counter-Strike. So if you deny opportunities for these, less good teams and the not top teams in the region to even just have an opportunity to compete and even just improve their skills, they're not going to be playing anymore. They're not going to be sticking around, and you're killing the grassroots of your scene and the ecosystem.
Yeah. Either way, I think there's an easy fix, and that's using common sense. And maybe by the time this is released, or maybe this prompts something after it's released, we will see a change to the invites in ESL Pro League Season 12. If not, the best we can hope for is a change for ESL Pro League Season 13. That's enough of that.
Imagine to make a change because of this podcast. Can you imagine the power we hold?
All I'm saying is, like, I feel like collectively we could have invited a better 8 teams from Asia and ANZ. So
100%.
maybe someone should just hit us up. But I also know that there's a few people working behind the scenes that are trying to make things happen as well. So who knows? Hopefully. Fingers crossed, fellas. Fingers crossed.